Hey Aries, welcome to Sweetteaastro and Tarot. My name is Erica. Welcome to the channel. So how are you doing after eclipse season? I hope you're well. Why don't you sit a spell so we can talk about the stars for a minute? In an earlier video, I asked my viewers and subscribers if they wanted a Jupiter and Libra series for each of the individual signs, and I got an overwhelming resounding yes, and I decided to wait to do the Jupiter and Libra series along with this new moon in Libra, because it just seemed like an easier way to disseminate the information for y'all. So, let's talk about that. On the 9th of September, Jupiter, the planet of increase, excess, and expansion, moved into Libra, which is a cardinal air sign, which is known for being balanced, harmonious, and reconciliatory. It's also known for being indecisive, unbalanced, and flighty. This occurred in your 7th house, and your 7th house is the house of Libra. It is the house of partnerships and relationships. It's how you identify yourself through your relationships. It's counseling, and it's open enemies. Open enemies can be people that you testify against in a court of law openly, or I see it as arguing online in an online forum where others can see and interact with the argument that's going on, like Facebook or Twitter, Reddit, Tumblr, something like that. Okay, so that's Jupiter. And Jupiter will be in your 7th house until October 10th of 2017. So this is a year-long transit, and you'll be experiencing a lot in your partnership area. And for the single Aries, you may be meeting somebody very, very, very positive for you. Just eyes wide open and be aware. So, on the 30th or the 1st of October, depending on where you live on the planet, we will be experiencing a new moon at 8 degrees of Libra, and this is technically a black moon, a black new moon. A black new moon is the second new moon in a calendar month, and that means this is a powerful time for new beginnings in our partnerships and in our relationships, Aries. And I'm an Aries sun, so this is something that I will be experiencing with y'all. And it could feel like it's a big shock and surprise to you because we have Uranus transiting through Aries right now as well. This is a very long transit, years long, and it's been going on for quite a few years. So things that have been shocking, surprising, you could be feeling like, the rug's been pulled from underneath of you more than once in the past couple of years. It's Uranus, shocks and surprises. Also stuff with electricity. But I am shuffling my brand new Halloween Oracle deck by Stacey DeMarco. I got that as a present for myself for my 2,000 subscriber mark. And I'm trying to be festive because it's Halloween, and wanted to share this new deck with y'all. Because it's new, I will be reading from the guidebook. But in October, for the other readings, I won't be relying on it as much. Just want to share with you what the book says, since it's the first time you are being exposed to it. All right, Aries, let's see what we got. I'm going to cut. I'm going to take the top two and the bottom. All right, Aries. The first card that I pulled for you is the Hearth card. And I think you'll be able to see it better like this. But the underneath it reads, happiness in our hearts and our homes. So you may be dealing with home energy, or just the happiness and the revelry that this time of year can bring. October is the trick-or-treating and getting together it's embracing your little inner child and being with the family and enjoying your time with them. Home could be very important to you as well. Me personally, before the house fire, I loved to make a fire in I had a potbelly stove, and I was mesmerized by the fire. It's the fire sign in me, and I understand that now, but I would sit and watch that fire burn for hours. And that may be something you want to do, Aries. Embrace your fire sign, embrace your element, and maybe have a bonfire. Pardon me. That's something that we especially do down here in Louisiana, is we get together with our friends and toss a bunch of wood together and Maybe toss back a couple of drinks and have a good time. The second card that you received is the spider card. So you may want to look up what the spider animal totem means. Google that, the spider animal totem, because that could also be very important to you. The spider card underneath says community and web weaving, and you are having Jupiter and this new moon in your partnership house. You are going to be webbing, networking. You are going to be experiencing new connections, if you will, especially throughout this year. And that could really start to feel very very fortuitous or very apparent to you very soon because of this new moon as well, amplifying that. And the final card that you got is the werewolf card, which is exploring wildness. That's a pretty good angle. It's got the full moon in the background. All right. Let me pull the spider card back and read for you what the guidebook has to say about the hearth card. And I used to, side note, I used to play World of Warcraft. So whenever I see hearth, I think of hearthstoning back to the inn. So shout out to my World of Warcraft players. If you did play it, that's awesome. And if you did play for the Horde, just so you know. All right, let's get back. The hearth card reads, the ancient Romans believed that in every home there was a heart, and at that heart it was the hearth. Where the fire burned, the family gathered for sustenance, communication, and protection. This concept was so important to the culture that there was a huge city hearth, the Vestal Temple, where the fire of the home goddess Vesta burned forever without ever going out. This sacred flame was protected by the soldiers with their very lives should there be an invasion. The place where the goddess Vesta was honored within every ordinary home was also the hearth. And it is where women prepared food and cooked. Some of the food was always offered back into the fire as an offering for Vesta for her blessing and protection. Often husbands were sent away on military duty for years on end, and their wives at home were not just expected to keep the home and often the business running, but to wait for their husbands faithfully until their return. They prayed to Vesta to ensure their family members' safe return and to keep the fires of love stoked. The saying, keep the home fires burning, was inspired by this very practice. Should the hearth card appear in your divination spread, you're being asked to look at your idea of what home and family is for you. Take up time to build your love fire and have it burning brightly. Make your relationships a priority. If there is a conflict within your home or family, it is time to take concrete steps to address the issue for good. If you or a member of your family is away from home during travel or work, know that protection is being given. That's a beautiful card. I love that card. The second card is the spider card. And I also think of Varys, Lord Varys from Game of Thrones, the spider in the garden. The spider card. Masses of sticky spider webs make any Halloween decoration complete. The idea of a haunted house covered in the artwork of a big hairy spider is a classic horror story trope. Even those of us who appreciate our eight-legged friends still hurriedly brush those stealthy webs off if we run into them in the dark. Although most spiders are not venomous, humans have an innate fear of them. Perhaps it's the fangs or the poison. Perhaps it's all those legs and the way they move. Perhaps it's where they live, often in the dark hidden places, or in the way our Western popular culture has demonized them by making them giant, fierce, and man-eating. Some cultures, though, revere the spider in very positive ways. In many Native American traditions, for example, the spider is the creature that gives birth to all other animals and sustains the web of life. The goddess spider grandmother, and there is also a spider woman, is a key deity that brings wisdom, safety, and communication to all the tribes. She created and wove all the stars in the sky and makes soft webs for those that are troubled to rest upon and to be supported by. Spiders' webs can be seen as a symbol of connection, not necessarily entrapment. There is a fine line sometimes between family or community supporting us and controlling us. This card looks at that discernment. It also suggests the way that you communicate with the wider community at work or generally with others, and to take steps to improve this or to do it slightly differently. It also indicates that there is a need to be a balance between what you do for yourself and what you do for others. If we give too much to the outside, our strength diminishes, and we cannot weave the supporting web that we need to for ourselves and for others. The final card that you received is the Werewolf card, Exploring Wildness. You may feel like that. You may feel like the werewolf. After a painful, excruciating, bone-jarring struggle against change, man releases to magic. Howling unrestrained under the full moon, now the half-man, half-wolf rises up snarling and goes looking for blood. We all know the power of the werewolf. After the end of the European witch trials, an intense interest of the werewolf developed in folklore tales and evolved to become the stuff of horror stories. Fairly consistently since then, the Wolfman or the Lycan has featured regularly in tales both oral and written. Of course, during the last 100 years, there have been many hugely popular movies, including An American Werewolf in London, and themes in books such as the recent Twilight Saga series. The werewolf is really a kind of shapeshifter, but in one way that has traditionally had little control over his wildness. In a way, there's an inner battle between the civilization and the wild animal of nature that fights inside one body. The vitality, strength, and freedom of the animal versus the reason, control, and intellect of the man. Which one, though, is the dominant force? What is the healthy balance between our animal nature, one that is wild and free and connected to nature, and our radically civilized humanness, separate from our goodness gracious, and our radically civilized humanness separate from or dominant over nature? There we go. The werewolf asks us to consider this balance and to delve into our own ideas of wildness, independence, and custodianship of the planet. When is the last time you spent all day outside? When is the last time you threw your head back and howled at the moon? Do you quash the vitality and curiosity of your body and mind by sitting all day in front of a computer? The werewolf challenges you to weave a balance between nature and your own nature. And isn't it funny that the last sentence of this reading was to weave a balance, and you got the spider right before it? It's pretty cool, Aries. I hope that you enjoyed this brief little reading. I'll be back in October with the full astrology and tarot, but this is just a quick new moon video. There was a lot of stuff that happened in September astrologically and personally for me, so I appreciate you being patient with me and gracious with me, and I will see you in October. Thank you so much, Aries. Please take care of yourself, employ your self-care measures, be kind to yourself, and save some of that kindness for others, because we're all struggling with private battles in our own private worlds, and some of us may never share it. So until October's readings, take care of yourself, and namaste, Aries.